National Broadcasting Company presents Radio City Playhouse, Attraction 11.
Hollywood, California, Monday, June 29th.
Presents the finest in motion picture entertainment, Academy Award.
From Hollywood, Skippy, America's largest selling peanut butter.
Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and Jimmy Stewart.
The Lux Radio Theater welcomes you all.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Drama and Theater, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. Before we get to today's drama, if you enjoy what I'm doing, let me ask you to subscribe to my channel. Subscribing is 100% free, and you will receive notifications on new posts. Lastly, if you have a moment, write a short 1 or 2 sentence review or give a rating on your preferred podcast service. A positive review or rating would help me out a lot. And now, on to the show. Oh yeah, and thanks for your support. I really do appreciate it. We are halfway through the year, just about. So we're going to start June with Lux Radio Theater. 2 episodes from Lux Radio Theater. The first one is Death Takes a Holiday, which aired March 22nd, 1937. And then we have Dulcy is the name of the series, or name of the episode. This one stars George Burns and Gracie Allen, who most people know, I'm sure you know, but for those few out there who don't know, they were actually married in real life. George Burns and Gracie Allen. This one aired March 29th, 1937.
Hollywood, California, Monday, March 22nd. The Lux Radio Theater presents Fredric March and Florence Eldridge in Death Takes a Holiday with Kay Johnson, Arthur Byron, and Gene Lockhart. Lux presents Hollywood. Our stars, Fredric March, Florence Eldridge, Kay Johnson.
So Castella became bosom companions, yet the soldier survived. Inspired by his grim associate of the trenches, he wrote the tender fantasy from which tonight's play, Death Takes a Holiday, was adapted. Castella's regard of death as an almost physical being, not cruel, but wise beyond understanding, may be interpreted in the lines he once wrote to a friend. Speaking of death, he said, "Occasionally we felt His Highness was on a vacation. Many a time he willfully overlooked a comrade, later coming back to escort someone else out of a tired, bleeding world. Death often seemed human to me." Originally produced in Italy, the adaptation of Death Takes a Holiday met with great success on stage and screen. The leading role tonight, as in the film version, is played by one of the most discerning and believable performers it has been my pleasure to direct, Fredric March, who starred for me in Sign of the Cross. Freddie's presence here tonight can be traced to an attack of appendicitis, which sent him to the hospital from his desk in a New York bank. While recuperating, he decided to leave finance and turn actor. Playing in Denver, he met and married Miss Florence Eldridge, who is again this evening his leading lady. Hollywood has also brought new honors to Miss Eldridge. Featured in many films, we remember her best for her splendid performance as Queen Elizabeth in Mary of Scotland, and hear her tonight in the part of Grazia. Our Madam Alder is Kay Johnson, whom I saw on the stage in The Silver Cord and brought to Hollywood to play the leads in Dynamite and Madam Satan. Before I could engage her for a third film, director John Cromwell made an engagement I could not interfere with. He married her. Arthur Byron, recently on the stage with Katharine Hepburn, with Catherine Cornell in St. Joan, and with John Gielgud in Hamlet, is heard tonight as Duke Lambert, Gene Lockhart as the Baron, and Howard Phillips as Corrado. Behind the wings of the stage, our stars have left their dressing rooms. The call boy is shouting curtain time, and the Lux Radio Theater presents Fredric March and Florence Eldridge in the romantic fantasy Death Takes a Holiday, featuring Kay Johnson and Arthur Byron. A lonely road in Italy. A A full round moon hangs low in the sky, bathing the countryside in ghostly radiance. An automobile purrs softly through the night, making its way toward the old castle of Duke Lambert. At the wheel is the Duke's son, Corrado, and beside him, Grazia San Luca, a lovely young girl who seems lost in a dream as she surrenders to the beauty of the night.
You haven't heard a word I've said, Grazia.
What?
You haven't been listening to me.
Yes, I have. Really, Corrado. It's just this night. It's so beautiful.
I asked you when we were to be married.
I know, dear. And I told you.
Yes, you told me soon. You can't expect me to be satisfied with that. I love you too much, far too much. And soon so easily becomes never.
Please, let's not talk about it now.
Well, why not?
I don't know. It wasn't meant for talking this night. There's something miraculous in the air. Haven't you felt it? Like an old story you can't quite believe. And the strangest shadow is following us.
Shadow? You're imagining things.
It's been behind us all the way.
It's the shadow of a tree, perhaps.
It isn't a tree.
Maybe it's a cloud across the moon.
There are no clouds. And it is a shadow. Sometimes it's close by. Sometimes we almost lose it.
Very well, then. We lose it. Now, watch.
Oh, yes. Go fast, Corrado.
How's this?
Faster, faster.
Like it?
Oh, it's glorious to go fast. It feels like wings.
We are almost flying at this speed. The car won't do much more than... Grazia!
Corrado!
I can't see the road. Get down! Get down! Grazia. Grazia.
Here, Corrado.
Are you all right, darling?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank God.
I haven't a scratch. You, Corrado?
No, nothing. At least, no, not even a mark. Why, it's a wonder we weren't both killed. Why, it's a miracle, Grazia. Look at that car.
I said there was something strange in the air. Something miraculous.
Grazia, that shadow you saw. I saw it, too, just before we crashed. It seemed to envelop the whole car. I couldn't even see the road. Strange.
Then I wasn't imagining things.
No.
What was it? What could it have been?
We'd better get on to the house. Father will be waiting for us. Here, give me your hand, darling, and stay close to me. And that was it, Father. We seemed to turn over and over endlessly. I'm sorry about the car, sir.
Never mind the car. I'm thankful that you both weren't killed.
You're sure you're both all right?
No, we haven't a scratch between us, Mother.
Perhaps you'd better go and lie down, Grazia.
Thank you, but it's not necessary.
It's a lucky night for all of us, it seems. We had a rather narrow escape ourselves this evening.
Who, Father?
The Baron Cesaria, Madame Alda, and myself. We were driving home from the village, and we ran into a street vendor's cart. We were traveling rather fast at the time. Must have carried the cart 50 feet, and the peddler with it.
Good Lord, Father, he wasn't...
No, luckily. We picked him up, and he seemed to be none the worse for it. It was a relief, I can tell you. The strangest part of it was that none of us even saw the cart. There seemed to be a cloud in front of us.
A cloud?
Well, not exactly that, perhaps. More like a shadow.
Shadow? Well, that's what we saw.
What?
Yes, just before we crashed.
It doesn't seem possible. Do you know, son, I think...
Yes, sir?
I think the night has been playing tricks with us. And in the future, we'd better have our headlights cleaned more often.
It was my fault, Duke Lambert. I asked Corrado to go fast. It felt as if we were flying.
Really? Well, Grazia, we think you've been flying long enough. When are you going to fold your wings and become my daughter-in-law?
Yes, we were speaking of that tonight. No, I've been trying to persuade Grazia to make it next month.
Won't you, dear?
I wish I could, but...
It's only a question of making up your mind, my darling.
You know I love you all and want to please you. But don't you see, I'm not ready.
But why, Grazia?
Because life is too full. There's a kind of happiness I want to find first if I can.
Aren't you happy with me?
Oh, yes, dear. But that isn't quite what I mean. I wish I knew how to tell you. There's something out there in the night, which I must find first and understand.
Grazia.
I'm going into the garden.
Well, may I come with you?
I'd rather be alone, if you don't mind.
Grazia's so strange at times. I don't understand her.
I don't myself sometimes. She's so fine, so delicate, so utterly remote from us all. It puzzles me.
I wouldn't worry, my son. You'll win her yet.
Madam Alda, I believe the peddler thought you were an angel when we picked him up.
Baron, Madam Alda, I hope you've both quite recovered from your shock.
Oh, it was hardly a shock, Duke Lambert. More in the nature of a very intense thrill. I rather enjoyed it.
Madam Alda lives for thrills.
Well, why not? Is there anything better to live for, Baron?
Only love, and you probably count that among your thrills. I know I always did, in my younger days, of course.
Corrado and Grazia had a lucky escape tonight themselves.
Really?
Yes, we were driving home along the hill road when...
What on earth was that?
Grazia.
She's in the garden.
It sounded as if she...
Grazia! Grazia!
You'd better see.
Came from the fountain.
This way. Corrado, where are you?
Here, Father.
Corrado.
Grazia, lying on the ground.
Is it? Corrado, what's happened?
No, she was just lying here.
Is she wounded? Oh, Lambert.
No, my dear, it'll be all right. Lift her up a little, Corrado.
Yes, she's coming. Grazia.
Don't let it come near me. Don't let it come near me.
What happened, Grazia?
I don't know. There was something cold and terrible. I was sitting by the fountain watching the water. And then an icy wind touched me. But it wasn't a wind because all the leaves were still.
Oh, perhaps you fell asleep and dreamed.
No, I saw it.
What? What did you see?
A shadow. An enormous darkness. And yet it wasn't a shadow because the moon shone through it. Oh, Corrado, I felt something behind me running. There wasn't any sound, but I felt someone. And then it touched me. Something cold.
Oh, Grazia.
Carry her into the house.
I'll help you, Corrado.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Call Grazia's mother. Tell her there's nothing to worry about, but ask her to come. It's just a case of nerves, I think, but we'd better play safe.
Yes.
Fidele, have you searched the grounds?
Thoroughly, Your Excellency. But we found nothing. Not even a footprint, sir.
Oh, there must have been something. I'll have a look myself.
Duke Lambert.
My revolver is in the desk drawer, Fidele. Give it to me, please.
Yes, Your Excellency. Here, sir.
Don't tell my wife I've gone out. Don't tell anyone.
Very good, sir.
Who's there? Who's there in that shadow? Answer, or I'll shoot.
It will be quite useless against me.
Stand back.
You see?
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Shall I show you my face? Look, my friend.
Good God! Who are you?
I am not of your world. I am... How shall I describe it? A sort of vagabond of space. I am... Or I was, until I came into this garden. Death.
Death?
But please be reassured. I am not on my usual mission tonight. I have already stood beside one of your number tonight without harm. That lovely young girl in the garden.
Then it was you?
Yes. And on the road, I was there too, and no one was harmed. Does that reassure you that I have no fatal intention?
But why did you come here, if not on your usual mission?
Why? That may be rather difficult to explain. However, I am about to take a holiday. I shall take only 3 days, and after that I must go back.
But why? Why do you do this?
For a number of reasons. For one thing, to discover why men fear me as they do.
Don't you know?
How should I know? What could terror mean to me who have nothing to fear? Can you conceive how weary I am of always being misunderstood? Can you conceive how lonely I am when there is nothing that does not shun me?
What is it you are seeking?
There must be something here on earth to be known and felt. Something desirable that makes men fear me and cling to their life. I must know what it is. Will you accept me for these 3 days? As a guest?
As a guest?
Don't be alarmed. As a mortal, of course. I assure you, I shall be quite a man of the world. Will it be a great trouble for you to put me up? Well?
Oh, no, not at all. No, I have a suite of rooms prepared for an old friend who is expected. Prince Sirki.
Indeed. Prince Sirki of Vitalba Alexandria?
Yes.
Prince Sirki will not come to see you. Not in this life.
I don't understand.
I saw him early this morning.
Then he's dead.
Yes. I did not know, of course, that he was a friend of yours.
Poor Sirki.
Tell me, was the prince known to your family and your guests?
No.
Excellent. I shall be Prince Sirki of Vitalba Alexandria for these 3 days.
What?
Oh, please understand that my presence in your house will not be a menace, but a protection.
Thank you.
But there is one condition on which I shall insist.
Yes?
I am to be Prince Sirki and no other. When I leave you now and return later in his person, I shall be mortal. And I must be treated as a mortal in every particular. No one under this roof must show repulsion or fear on pain of my instant displeasure.
I don't understand.
No. Let me put it this way. If my secret is divulged, I shall leave instantly as Sirki and return in my proper person. Do I make myself clear this time?
I understand. Your Highness.
So at last, I am to become mortal. Change my whole person so none will fear me. I shall feel blood in my veins, the warm blood of life. I shall know what you know and feel what you feel. My hunger shall be appeased for an hour. My hunger that is as old as time. And those that I love need not be afraid. Not afraid. I am beside myself. My holiday is just caprice, a mad joke I play with life. But what a monstrous, what a sublime joke. And you, my friend, will be distinguished among hosts. For none has entertained death before and lived. You may expect me soon.
I've never found anything like it. But why at this hour?
Unusual, but interesting, Baron.
My husband asked especially to see everyone in the library. I don't know why.
Ah, here he is. Well, Lambert?
I'm sorry to arouse you at this hour, my friends. It's important, believe me.
Lambert, Grazia's mother is here.
Ah, Maria. I'm glad to see you.
I was so worried about Grazia when I heard.
She'll be all right. Have you seen her?
She's upstairs resting. It isn't necessary for her to be here now, is it?
Why, no, my dear.
Well, Lambert?
My friends, I have received a message tonight from Prince Sirki.
Oh, so he's coming at last.
Yes, he's coming. I want to tell you all something very seriously. This guest whom we're expecting is no ordinary person. Now, if he should appear eccentric or strange in any way, you must take no notice. Treat him as a prince and a gentleman always. And above all, you must not be afraid.
But Lambert, I don't understand.
And no matter what happens, you must never shun him or protest or run. It wouldn't do any good if you did. You can't run from...
From what, Lambert?
Nothing. I didn't mean... Well, Fidele?
His Highness, Prince Sirki.
Sirki. Welcome, Your Highness, to our villa.
Thank you, my dear Duke. I am so happy to be here.
We're more than honored. May I present my wife, Prince Sirki?
Your Highness is most welcome.
Thank you. I have rarely been so charmingly received.
And now, may I present my guests?
It will be a pleasure.
Madam Alda.
How do you do, Prince Sirki?
Ah, may I say I had not realized that the women of your country were so beautiful.
Your Highness is most kind.
I wish that we might never meet when you are less beautiful and I must be less kind.
The Princess Maria, Prince Sirki.
Your Highness.
Your Highness. The Baron Cesaria, sir. A statesman who was once important in the affairs of the world, who now looks back on a long and interesting life.
I am delighted to meet the Baron, at the last.
And I to meet you, Your Highness.
Considering your distinction and your age, it is surprising that fate has not introduced us before.
Your Highness, my son Corrado.
Yes. The son who drives his car so furiously.
I beg your pardon, sir?
My friend, please, permit me to call you my friend.
Your Highness.
Please, make no change in your plans because of my sudden appearance. I should like to join in your pleasures, if I may, and enjoy the hours with you. I beg you not to make a stranger of me.
Your rooms are ready, Your Highness.
My room?
Yes, at your pleasure.
Oh, then if you will forgive me, I think I will go now. I have not slept for ages, and I feel curiously tired.
Mother.
Grazia.
I couldn't sleep, Duke Lambert. I was too restless.
This is a guest I have not had the pleasure of meeting.
Oh.
Grazia, this is Prince Sirki, the Princess Maria's daughter, Your Highness.
How do you do, Your Highness?
How do you do?
We have not met before, Your Highness.
Perhaps. For a few fleeting moments.
Yes, that is how it seems. A few fleeting moments. I am happy to welcome you now, sir.
Please, give me your hand, Grazia. So young and firm and full of life. And it lies so trustingly in mine.
Is there any reason why it should not?
Thank you, Grazia. You have done me a great kindness tonight. My friends, my holiday begins most agreeably.
Before we go on with the Lux Radio Theater presentation of Death Takes a Holiday, starring Fredric March and Florence Eldridge, we're going to let you in on a Hollywood beauty secret. We're going over on La Brea Avenue to a little stucco house where happy Mrs. Thomas F. has been chatting with her friend Ethel over tea. Ethel has suddenly looked at her watch.
Marion, I had no idea it was so late. It's 6:15. Gosh, I haven't left you any time at all to rest.
Oh, don't be silly. I loved having you. I have plenty of time to get dressed before Tom gets home. My bath only takes 2 shakes, and it always rests me. I'll feel like a million.
And Tom will think you look it, too. We always talk about the way you keep Tom so adoring. Well, so long, Marion.
So long, dear.
Call me if you're home tonight.
Marion keeps Tom in love with her because she knows this secret. One thing a man adores in any woman is skin that's sweet. That's why Marion is devoted to Hollywood's beauty bath. Lux Toilet Soap's active lather removes perspiration, every last trace of dust and dirt from the pores. Its delicate, expensive fragrance lingers. After her Lux Toilet Soap beauty bath, Tom's sure to greet his wife like this.
Hello, darling. How's my girl? Gee, you look so swell. I think I ought to take you out. How about it? We could go anywhere, and I wouldn't find another girl that's half as sweet.
Why don't you protect daintiness? Keep romance the Lux Toilet Soap way. We continue with Death Takes a Holiday, starring Fredric March and Florence Eldridge. 3 days have gone by, and the Phantom Death is still a guest at the home of the Duke, still enjoying his brief visit to Earth in the person of Prince Sirki. Meanwhile, the world is an astounded witness to a series of miracles. In London,
SS Cedric explodes at sea. Sinks within an hour. No lives lost.
In Paris, man jumps from Eiffel Tower in attempted suicide. Walks away uninjured. In Japan,
Island of Kobushima totally demolished by heaviest earthquake in history. All residents are safe.
And so for 3 days, no life is endangered. No living thing destroyed. While death amuses himself. Now at conversation, now at yachting, now at the gaming table of a fashionable resort, where his luck amazes other players.
It's unbelievable.
He doubled 7 times on the 6th.
If he's right once more, you'll own the casino.
You mustn't double again, Your Highness.
No, Baron. Should I not?
You lose all you've won.
Madame Alda, shall I or shall I not?
Yes, play it. I think the world is all yours to do with as you choose.
Your Highness?
Yes, croupier?
I'm very sorry, but it's against the rules of the house to double a game.
Oh, but look here, you make it necessary for me to take a great deal of this metal away with me.
I'm sorry, Your Highness.
Very well, but I have no use for it. Here. You divide it, please, among those who need it. Baron, shall we go out on the balcony?
Delighted. A magnificent gesture, Your Highness. Magnificent. You make life exciting again. I felt 20 years younger ever since you arrived.
You know, Baron, out here is the night, crowded with beauty. And all of you herd inside in smoky rooms, feverish over little games. Why?
Why? One comes here to gamble, and one gambles to win.
It seems to me that men have not begun to discover the magnificence of this life.
Will you tell me what in the world you're looking for, Prince Sirki?
I came here looking for a game to play. A game worth playing. I have been among you almost 3 days, and what you do with yourselves still seems to me so very futile and empty.
There are only 3 games: money, love, and war. Have you tried war?
Plenty of it. I could never make out what it was they were fighting about. It's usually a flag, isn't it? Or a barren piece of ground that neither side wants.
Well, I suppose they fight to make themselves heroic for someone they love.
Oh, so it all comes down to one game.
One game, that's what it comes to. One never grows tired of love.
Shall I tell you something, Baron? This last great game of yours, this of which you never tire, seems to me to be the strangest, the saddest, the emptiest of all.
Can it be that you're inexperienced in such matters?
Entirely.
You don't know what you've missed. One pair of lips will change your mind for you someday. It depends upon the subject. Madame Alda's, for instance.
Madame Alda?
She's quite taken with you, you know. Thinks you're fascinating. You might try your game of love in that quarter, Your Highness.
Yes.
You don't seem very interested. You were thinking of another, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Who, Your Highness?
It is growing late, Baron. I think we will go back now.
Lambert, I must know what all this mystery is about.
Mystery, Maria?
I felt it too, Father. I don't know what it is, but you seem afraid of something.
My dear boy, please.
Lambert, who is this guest of yours?
He is Prince Sirki.
I feel that you are concealing something.
Maria.
And Grazia has been very strange these past 3 days. Restless, almost exalted. I think she is attracted to this man.
I've seen it, too. And Madame Alda.
No, they couldn't be.
Why?
I mean, nothing could come of it. He wouldn't encourage them. And, Maria, it's his last evening. He goes at midnight.
Why at midnight?
That's his natural... that is... Oh, it's a whim of his. Just a whim, nothing more.
Your Excellency.
Yes, Fedele?
You asked to be informed as soon as Prince Sirki returned from the casino.
Oh, yes.
He's in the library, Your Excellency.
Very well. You'll excuse me, Maria?
Of course.
Thank you. Your Highness.
Oh, good evening, my friend.
You have returned early from the casino.
Yes, I was very bored.
I'm sorry. I had hoped that your last evening...
Yes, my last evening. But it isn't over as yet.
No, Your Highness.
You haven't told anyone about me. None of your guests know my real identity.
No one knows, Your Highness.
Good. I wish that reserve kept without fail. I shall be in the garden for a while now. There's very little time left. And I still have not found your reason for existence.
Good evening, Your Highness.
Ah, Madame Alda, good evening. You're all by yourself?
Yes. I felt that you would be out here. I've been waiting for you.
Many people do, but none quite so cheerfully. Aren't you afraid?
Of you? Well, perhaps I am a little. But my interest is far greater than my fear.
Oh, I am glad. But if you knew... You are so fortunate here, you people. I think I used to despise you all with your little whims and desires, all leading up to nothing. And now, there is nothing I want so much as to share them.
I've so often thought all that of myself.
Oh, but my dear Alda, you can have whatever dreams you wish. But suppose you had been set down for a few hours or a few days among the inhabitants of the moon, and that was all the life that you could have forever. And you knew no one there. And no one dared to know you.
Do you really feel that?
Yes. I am not one of you.
Then I wish that you were.
You do?
I've waited for someone like you.
Even though I am not what I seem?
Oh, but you are.
No. I am a fear, a shadow, a wandering thing. Isn't there a story among your legends of a merman who came asking a woman to love him so that he might have a soul?
Well, if there is, I'm sure she'd give him what he asked. I think she'd give up her own soul gladly.
If she were in love?
Yes.
You see, I have come asking for that.
Of me?
Yes. But also, it is impossible.
Why?
Because you will take one step toward me and know my secret and lose courage.
Try me.
You do love me?
Yes.
How much?
More than life itself.
You can give me a soul only if you know me and can still love me. Now look into my eyes. Look deep. What do you see there?
Shadows.
Look into those shadows. Let your thought go to its wildest reach. I will you to know who I am.
No. I want to live.
You're afraid of me.
Let me go. Please, let me go.
You're afraid. The mere thought of my real person puts a chill around your heart.
Let me go. Pity me.
Go, then. Go back to your petty little existence. You're not great enough for me, Alda. I am looking for a response such as you could never give. I am searching for someone who knows and is not afraid.
Such a lovely night, Your Highness.
You? A very serene and lovely princess.
You do me too much honor, Your Highness. I'm not really a princess, you know.
Let me call you so.
I like to be called Grazia by my friends.
How charming of you. Grazia, then.
You make it sound like music.
It is like music. It has overtones that go singing on and on. But they are not sad, no, they are full of grace and light.
Oh, when you speak like that, I hear music, too. Great sweeping chords.
I could say so much more.
Your Highness is being very kind tonight.
I wonder if I am being kind.
Perhaps I should have said gracious.
No, not gracious either. I have discovered that even the mightiest must sue for certain favors.
I should think Your Highness would never need to sue.
On the contrary, I am feeling strangely humble for the first time in my life.
And I am feeling strangely thrilled and proud.
Grazia?
Yes, Duke Lambert?
Your mother is asking for you, my dear.
Thank you, Your Highness.
Until later, Grazia?
Until later, Your Highness.
Your Highness?
Yes?
You'll forgive me, but I'm worried, Your Highness.
Worried?
About Grazia. She's a lovely child. I hope that one day she and Corrado will be...
Enough.
Your Highness, I hope that you are not thinking...
Enough, I say! If you don't understand, Duke Lambert, I've been caught in this web of flesh, caught and tortured. I thought to put it on like a garment and cast it off as easily. But to put it off is to die. To die without having lived. To die alone, without loving or being loved. And that I will not have.
But it is fatal to love you, and you promised to harm no one in this house.
Have you forgotten that in an hour I must go with empty hands?
Are you certain it will be with empty hands?
Quiet! I am an expert at conclusions, my friend.
Grazia! Grazia!
Here, Corrado.
Oh, Grazia, I'm so glad to find you.
Why, dear?
You should be in the house, not walking out here alone. Grazia, will you do me a great favor?
Of course.
May I stay very close to you this evening?
Why?
Because I love you, and I'm afraid.
But there's nothing to be afraid of.
Grazia, why are you so strange?
I seem to be waiting for something.
Let me stay with you.
It's not you that I'm waiting for, Corrado.
Oh, Grazia, you're so far away. Please come back to me. There's some awful danger. I know it.
Oh, no, not danger. Happiness. Something I've been waiting for so long.
Grazia.
Please don't be unhappy, Corrado. I love you. In some way I can't make clear. If I didn't feel so far away, I should be in your arms crying and holding you close to me. I want to do that. But somehow, I think I never shall.
Oh, you're trembling.
I'm only a little cold. Will you get my cloak from the hall?
I don't want to leave you. Won't you come with me?
No. I must wait here, Corrado.
Grazia.
I must wait here for him, alone.
We pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And this is KNX, the Columbia Station, Los Angeles.
We call an intermission in our presentation of Death Takes a Holiday, starring Fredric March and Florence Eldridge, to introduce the dramatist who brought this play to American audiences. Formerly instructor in English at Yale University, Walter Ferris is now one of the screen's most valued writers. With such hits to his credit as Under Two Flags, Maid of Salem, and Lloyd's of London, he interrupts his work on Shirley Temple's film, Heidi, to be with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Ferris.
Thank you, Mr. DeMille. There are no doubt people in our audience who think me morbid for having dealt with this subject, but my intention was anything but morbid. Mr. Casella's brilliant and compelling conception of death on a holiday suggested all sorts of fascinating ideas to me. One was this. I thought if I were to treat death as a fellow who couldn't understand why people were afraid of him, since his job was only to escort them from one world to another, that those who saw the play might cheer up a little. I thought they might go out of the theater stepping a few inches higher than when they came in, which was what Mr. DeMille and David Belasco achieved with their fantasy on death, The Return of Peter Grimm. That, to my mind, is what every play or motion picture should make an audience do, step a little higher, whether the theme is comedy or tragedy.
The adaptation of Mr. Casella's play must have been a very difficult task.
It was. Adrienne Morrison, the mother of Joan and Constance Bennett, asked me to do it. At first I refused, but then the theme haunted me so that I finally accepted and spent nearly 2 years in writing the play you are presenting tonight.
And 4 actresses found their way to fame through the part of Grazia: Rose Hobart, Helen Vinson, Margaret Sullivan, and Katharine Hepburn. But how did you happen to turn playwright?
By playing hide and seek with death myself, really. Like Mr. March, I found myself in a hospital with lots of time to think things over. Freddie got better and became an actor. I became an author.
You're both getting better all the time.
Certainly, Mr. March has recovered splendidly, but I sometimes have doubts about myself. We've been very lucky in the stars we've had in the part of Death. First, Philip Merrivale on the stage, then Fredric March on the screen. And now on the radio, we have Mr. March and his distinguished wife playing together. And before saying goodbye, I should like to express an author's gratitude to the Lux Radio Theatre for the very intelligent fashion in which it uses his material. It's been a pleasure to be here and see how you present a program in behalf of a product which we use every day, both at home and at 20th Century Fox Studios. Lux Toilet Soap. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Mr. Ferris, to have you with us. Death Takes a Holiday, starring Fredric March and Florence Eldridge. The time grows short. Death's holiday on Earth is almost over. And soon Prince Sirki must again take up the black cloak of his real existence. In the garden, Grazia and His Highness sit hand in hand, gazing deep into each other's eyes.
You kept your promise, Grazia. You came to meet me.
Didn't you know that I would?
Yes. I felt it, deep within me. It is strange. We seem to understand each other so. We hardly need to speak, do we?
Thoughts are so much clearer than words.
Ah. Then perhaps you can tell me what I've been doing here.
I think I can, almost.
Tell me.
I think you've been holding life in your hands, as I do sometimes. I think you've been a little afraid of its beauty.
You do know. You wonderful, exquisite child. Something new has been born in me. And at last, I know the meaning of this life men lead here. I know for the first time, men bear a dream within them. A dream that lifts them above their petty lives. And that dream is love. You have brought this to me, Grazia. You have shown me a new world. A world which you made for me and which we share together. And yet, I am alone, too. Still alone.
I think we'll never be alone again.
We must, Grazia. And I shall miss you so. I shall hear your laughter in every wind that passes. I shall hear your footsteps wherever you are. When our two worlds hold us apart.
Why should we ever be apart? What is this that will happen? Who are you?
Prince Sirki.
I don't mean that. You seem to come from a distant place. You're like the mystery that's just beyond sight and sound. Always just beyond my reach. Something that draws and frightens me.
Oh, Grazia, please, do not be afraid of me. I am Sirki who loves you more than any man could love you. I am Sirki who needs your warmth and your beauty more than any man could need them. Listen to me, Grazia. I am a great power, and I am humble before you. And tonight, I must go back to my distant kingdom.
Will you take me with you?
Take you?
I should be unhappy alone.
Take you? Oh, no, not. Do not tempt me. Oh, but Grazia, please. Give me 1 hour with you. Let me hold you close to me. For you are the meaning of beauty that I must know. Let me hold you in my arms, Grazia, and know that I have lived.
Oh, my love. My love.
What is that?
Only the chimes of the hall clock. It's striking the 3/4 hour.
3/4 hour? Oh, then soon it will be midnight. Midnight.
I tell you, Father, she's slipping away from me, away from all of us.
Corrado, please. Maria.
She's out there in the garden with him now. He has some strange power over her.
We must save her from him.
We can do nothing.
Stand there and say that. We must do something. We can go out there together and take him by the throat.
If we could, should I be standing here? Grazia is in no danger. There is nothing to be alarmed about.
But you're alarmed, Lambert. Yes, Father, you're terrified. I must know why.
Lambert, let me go to her.
No, wait.
Then I'll go.
No, I forbid you to move.
Then tell me why I can't go. Give me your reason, or by heaven, I'll kill that man.
You can't kill him, but he can kill us. If he but points out his hand, all of us...
Who is this prince?
You don't know what you're asking.
I don't care. I only know that Grazia is in danger.
Very well. I'll tell you. He said if I reveal his secret, he will leave instantly as Sirki and return as... Steel yourselves if you are to hear it. He is not Prince Sirki. He is the one who waits, the one whom all men dread. His Majesty, Death, amusing himself on a holiday.
Father.
Death!
So, my friend, you have broken your promise.
Yes, I was desperate, sir. It's my son's life against my promise. I had no choice.
I am not used to these distinctions. I thought we should part as friends with kindly remembrances. But now my shadow has come between us.
Not already.
No, I am immortal still for a few minutes. No longer as Prince Sirki, but as myself with my own feelings. In a few moments I shall be what I was. And for me, too, there will be an end.
But you are above pain and loss.
Am I? I thought tonight I had reached the end of my experiment. I had found love. But it was not the end. Beyond that, I have found the pain of losing love. If I must lose it.
But it must be lost to you.
Why?
Because you are...
Death! My dear Duke, thank you for defining the problem.
Your Highness, won't you give her back to me?
It's your pain against mine. Why should I deny myself because of your childish fear? You know nothing of the meaning of death. I tell you there is no death, only a life beyond. A richer, simpler life than yours, and infinitely more kind.
But she is so young to die.
Go with me now, and love would be triumph, not death, as it is known to you.
Oh, in God's name,
Give
please.
her back to me. Give her back to me.
One lover must always lose, Colado.
But not like this. Not with death.
There are wolves between us, and I cannot reach your minds. Why do men fear my coming? Death. Death is but a word that you've been taught to fear, a symbol of the unknown, and because of that word, you keep her from me. I would only lead her through the gateway to the life that lies beyond.
Your Highness, we are not answered. Are we to keep Grazia?
Is she yours even now?
But she doesn't know who you are. Now, if she knew, what would she choose?
Yes, you're right. Even Grazia was born to fear the face of death. She would die with me now as Sirki. But as death, I cannot tell her.
You gave me your word.
You think me bound by that?
I do. An honorable man would be bound.
Because I assumed your flesh, must I assume your weakness?
Then pity our weakness. I've seen pity struggling in you. We beg the life of Grazia.
I bound myself to life, and with it to the petty rules by which it is lived. And now I must bow to it. What a monstrous comedy.
Where is he going?
To fetch Grazia.
Oh, what will he do? What will he do?
We must wait, Maria.
He's been so long. What is the time?
4 minutes to the hour.
4 minutes.
Shh, Maria. Your Highness.
She is coming in.
You'll give her back to us?
No. It is for her to choose.
Your Highness.
Come here, Grazia.
Oh, Grazia, darling. I've been so frightened. Grazia, don't run away like that again. Not in the night.
But I was quite safe with Prince Sirki, Mother. I love to be with him. I must stay with him always.
Grazia.
He's kind, Mother, and more tender than anyone I've ever known. Even more tender than you.
Don't, Grazia, you don't know what you're saying.
Why are you all so strange? Why are you suffering so? I've found my love. There ought to be lights and music.
Save her. Oh, please save her.
Tell her what you will.
What is there to tell? Do you think there's anything I don't understand? I love His Highness, and I must go with him.
Your Highness, you must tell her.
Say what you like. It will make no difference.
It's nearly 12, Your Highness.
Yes, I know, Grazia. Grazia, I came to this house in jest and made love to you as a jest.
You're trying to destroy my love because they wish it. It was not a jest.
Grazia, listen. You must stay here with those who love you. I am going far away to a distant country. If you went with me now, you could never see them again.
Why must you say these things to me? They can make no difference.
But you don't understand. My holiday is over. I am going at once.
I'm ready.
No, you can't come with me.
Yes, I can. Shall we go now?
But you don't know who I am.
You are my love. My love.
You heard her? All of you? Do you wish me to speak and destroy this happiness?
You must.
Oh, Grazia. Grazia, my little love. Please. It was not a jest, but I must go, dear. Alone.
Oh, no.
Goodbye, my friends. Remember that there is only a moment of shadow between your life and mine. And when I call, come bravely through that shadow, and you will find me only your familiar friend.
Now, Grazia, you see me as I am.
Good heavens.
As I am, Grazia. As death. That is why I must go alone. You understand now, Grazia.
But I've always seen you like that. You haven't changed.
You have seen me like this?
Yes. Always. And I'm going with you.
Then there is a love which casts out fear. And I have found it. And love is greater than illusion. And as strong as death. Come, Grazia.
Yes. I'm here. Yes.
Holiday is over, and with it our play. But Fredric March and Florence Eldridge rejoin us at the microphone later. Along with the Gish and Talmadge sisters, Mary Pickford and Marguerite Clark, Blanche Sweet will always be remembered among Hollywood's favorite stars of the silent screen. Discovered by D.W. Griffith, Blanche was in no small measure responsible for the box office competition he constantly gave me. I thought the best way to remove the competition was to acquire the star, which I did. 1 million miles of film have run through Hollywood's cameras since then. But as I welcome her tonight, I see the same charming Blanche with the lovely blue eyes who brought to silent pictures the eloquence of a great performer. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Blanche Sweet.
Thank you, Cecil, and thank you all. Rather amazing, isn't it, to think back to what pictures were like when you and I began, long before we ever dreamed of speaking to each other with a microphone between us. You know, I was just 13 when I made my film debut with the old Edison Company back in New York. My salary was the staggering sum of $3 a day. And I remember my first Hollywood film for Mr. Griffith at Biograph. It was a one-reel thriller called The Lonedale Operator. At that time, you know, the names of the cast were never mentioned by the leading studios, and Biograph made it a point to always withhold the identity of their players. Then, names were advertised by independent companies, who chose this as a new means to combat opposition. So quite unwittingly did the system featuring star personalities come into being.
Which do you remember, Blanche, as the most outstanding films of your career?
Well, now, Cecil, that's not for me to say. But I particularly liked doing Tess of the D'Urbervilles, Anna Christie, Judith of Bethulia, and, of course, your own production, The Warrens of Virginia.
Recently, many of us saw you on the stage, playing with Leslie Howard in Petrified Forest. After your success in that, Have you any thought of returning to pictures?
Well, I'm due back in New York this spring for a play. I leave next month and expect to go into rehearsal soon after. I'll miss listening to your program, Cecil, when I'm in the theater. But I assure you I don't have to be reminded to keep on using Lux toilet soap. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm not a fussy individual, but I am particular about what I use for my complexion. I've used Lux toilet soap for many years, and I'm glad to have this opportunity of saying what a marvelous beauty care it is. Now, thank you again. Goodbye.
Sweet, isn't she? Patience, as Disraeli once remarked, is a necessary ingredient of genius. And in calling back our leading man to the microphone with Miss Eldridge, I call back the most patient man I know. Forward, March. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Fredric March. Thank you.
Thank you, C.V. I don't know quite what you mean by patience, though, unless you refer to the fact that it's been nearly 5 years since we last worked together in the Sign of the Cross. But to have been in another DeMille production tonight has been worth all the patience in the world.
Thanks, Freddie, but I referred particularly was the patience you exhibited in the Sign of the Cross.
You mean the time you fed my husband to the lions, Mr. DeMille? I think I deserve the medal for patience, not Freddie.
This scene, Florence, was just before he was served to the lions. A jailer was supposed to enter with the simple speech, "Forgive me, but we must proceed. The Emperor is waiting, Excellence."
Oh, I remember that, yes. And the jailer was so terribly scared that he just couldn't say the word Excellence.
Every time he'd ruin the scene by saying Your Majesty or Your Highness or Your Lordship.
And what happened?
As I remember, after wasting hours, we went to lunch, and while Mr. DeMille dug up another jailer. And this new actor looked the part, and he caught his cue perfectly. He glared at us fiercely, and he declared, "Forgive me, but we must proceed. The Emperor is waiting, Excellency."
When I heard that lisp, they had to keep me from throwing that jailer instead of Freddie to the lions.
Weren't you just a little bit frightened, Freddie, playing the lion scene?
Not a bit, my darling. You see, I had just found out that those lions didn't like ham.
Freddie tells me, Florence, that you and he are going back on the stage.
Yes. We wanted to wait until our children were a bit older. But now Penny's 4.5, and Tony's a little past 3.
Time marches on with the marches.
Incidentally, C.B., Penny's a great booster of yours. She told us to be sure to give her love to the man who sells that nice soap.
Well, after all, Lux toilet soap has been a standby of the March household for a good many years, Mr. DeMille. Not because just about everybody in Hollywood also seems to prefer it, but because it happens to be just about the finest complexion care we know of.
Yes, and now, darling, don't you think it's about time we went home and put the kids to bed?
Oh, yes, I do. Goodbye, Mr. DeMille. And to all of you out there, our sincere thanks.
Goodbye, all.
March goes out like a lion. Mr. March, Miss Eldridge, our thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your announcer, Melville Roach. There's great news coming from Mr. DeMille in a moment. Mr. March will be next seen in the David O. Selznick Technicolor production, A Star is Born. Mr. DeMille appeared through courtesy of Paramount Studios and Louis Silver's 20th Century Fox, where he was in charge of music for the new film, Seventh Heaven. And now, our producer.
Next Monday night, the Lux Radio Theater brings you George Burns and his pixelated partner of screen and radio, Miss Gracie Allen. The vehicle for these nitwits of the networks is supplied by those sharp-witted satirists, George S. Kaufman and Mark Connolly, and was the first play that brought them fame, Dulcy. In addition to Burns and Allen, our cast will include 4 of the original players, Howard Lindsay, Wallace Clark, Elliot Nugent, and Norma Lee. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater stars George Burns and Gracie Allen in Dulcy. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
It's late afternoon of a midsummer day. On a road leading out of New York City, a small blue roadster weaves quickly through the heavy traffic. At the wheel is Gordon Smith, and beside him his brother-in-law, Bill Holloway. They're bound for Gordon's house in Westchester. As they reach the open road, the car swerves sharply, avoiding an accident by inches.
Hey, take it easy, will you, Gordon? Sorry, I guess I'm in too much of a hurry. I'll say you are. What's the big rush? Oh, nothing. Just anxious to get home, that's all. I had a tough day at the office today.
You'll have a tougher one if you pile up in the ditch. That's better.
Well, how's the artificial jewelry business, if any?
Not so hot, Bill.
No? Anything new on the Forbes merger?
No, it's coming along. The deal goes through, I'll get 16 2/3% of the combine.
Oh, do you think that's enough, Gordon? 16 2/3?
No, it isn't. But I'm up against it, and I've got to take what he gives me. Forbes is a tough customer.
That's hard luck.
Of course, I might be able to do something with him over the weekend. He's coming out to the house, too, you know. Your sister invited him.
Yeah, so she told me. Well, Dulcie always did like guests.
Yeah, I know.
Forbes is bringing his wife and daughter, isn't he?
I guess so.
I didn't know you knew them that well.
Well, I don't accept Forbes in a business way. It wasn't my idea until the little woman thought of it. You know how your sister is.
Oh, sure. When Dulcie makes up your mind that she wants to do something, you do it.
That's one of the reasons why I want to get home. If they get there ahead of us and Dulcie gets talking to them, well, anything can happen. And it always happens to me.
And if I know Dulcie, it'll be plenty. Step on it, Gordon.
Go ahead in, Bill.
Yeah, thanks.
Gee, it's good to get home. I guess they aren't here yet.
I beg pardon, sir.
Huh? Who are you?
I'm the butler, sir.
The butler? I must be in the wrong house.
Oh, no, sir. Mrs. Smith engaged me this afternoon, sir.
Oh, well, I'm Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Smith described you in some detail, sir.
Huh?
May I take your hat, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Very good, sir.
Can you imagine that? I turn my back and she hires a butler.
I guess she had to make an impression on the Forbes.
Oh, hello, Gordon. Imagine me. You here. It certainly is a small house. Who's that with you?
Your brother.
Oh, sure. Hello, Willie.
Hello, Dulcie.
Oh, Gordon, darling, how are you feeling?
Well.
You are, huh? My, isn't it hot? It certainly is. Did you have a nice day at the office today?
Well, not so bad.
Nice and cool in here, though. Maybe that's on account of the cold air. But
Yeah.
I always say it's the old breeze that doesn't blow in this room. Ring for Henry, will you, darling? I want to put these flowers in water.
Wait a minute. Who is this fellow Henry?
Well, Henry White, darling. Didn't you meet him? He's the butler.
I know. He introduced himself at the door, but who is he? Where did you get him?
Well, if you promise not to tell,
Yes.
He's a reformed convict.
What? A reformed convict?
Shh, not so loud. He's very sensitive.
Yeah, well, so am I. And I don't like the idea of having a second-story man polishing off the silverware.
Oh, he wouldn't steal anything, Gordon. He's going straight now. He hasn't taken hardly a thing since he got out of prison.
When was that?
Last week.
I see.
Well, anyway, we've got to have a butler, darling.
What, Dulcie?
We're having guests, Willie. Very important guests for the weekend. Guess who's coming?
The Forbes?
Who told you?
You did?
Oh, you guessed it. Yes, there'll be Mr. and Mrs. Forbes and his wife, and Angela. Angela's their daughter, you know, and sweet. Why, she's just the sweetest thing.
Yes,
Oh,
isn't she?
Willie. Oh, what do you mean? You don't know her?
Of course I do. I've known her for years.
Well, what's funny about that, Dulcie?
Well, he didn't know I never knew he knew. Isn't that funny? Or is it?
Yes, dear, it is.
Well, now let me see. The pink room for Angela and the red room for Mr. and Mrs. Forbes. I'd better have the green room made up for Schuyler Van Dyke.
Schuyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, one of the Van Dykes, and he's worth millions.
Schuyler Van Dyke is coming here.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Oh, he's a marvelous man. You'd never think he was a Van Dyke. He's so democratic.
When did you meet him?
Well, this afternoon. He was at Mrs. Kennedy's. He had a lot of other invitations, but he accepted mine.
But, Dulcie, having this man here with Forbes, how do you know they like each other?
Oh, they will. Mr. Van Dyke's a businessman, too, darling. He owns all kinds of things. Railroads, I think. Well, anyhow, it's something like railroads. He'll help entertain Mr. Forbes. Isn't that a pleasant surprise?
You know, Gordon, one thing Dulcie never learned is the difference between a surprise and a shock.
Oh, Willie, you're saying silly things to try to mix me up.
Okay, I think I'll go upstairs and wash a little.
Yeah, that's right, dear. I want you to look nice and clean for our guests.
See you later.
Bringing in a Mr. Van Dyke to entertain Mr. Forbes. Dulcie, Forbes isn't the kind of a man who wants to be entertained.
All right, dear. Then Van Dyke can entertain Mr. Leach.
Well, that's better. Mr. Leach? Who is Mr. Leach?
Vincent Leach. You know, the big moving picture writer.
Oh, yes. Is he coming here?
Yes, isn't that wonderful?
I'm not so sure. First you invite Mr. Van Dyke, next you invite Vincent Leach.
Ah, there's the secret.
Look, Dulcie, let's not make a game of this. I don't...
Oh, well, you see, dear, Vincent and Angela like each other.
Vincent and Angela?
Yes.
You mean Forbes' daughter?
Yes, isn't it wonderful? So I invited them both here so they'll have the whole weekend together. You never can tell what'll happen.
That's what I'm afraid of.
so well, and this man Leach. What do you know about him?
I know all about him. He's a big scenario writer and just the man for Angie. He's so practical and she's single. Opposite should marry. You know that, darling.
Yes, I know that. But why are you so anxious to match this fellow Leach with Angela? What do you care about him?
Don't you see?
Yes, I see.
Can't you get
Yes, I can get.
All right, then I'll tell you.
Good.
If Angie likes Mr. Leach and marries him,
yes.
and I fixed it...
Well,
that'll make Mr. Forbes so grateful that he'll have to give you more than 16 2/3 of the percentage.
I wish you'd stay out of my business.
Well, sure, that's what a wife's for. Now, I figured it all out by myself.
But, Dulcy...
Oh, Gordon, darling, don't be upset about it. I know they ought to marry. I just know it. It's a woman's intuition. Just as I knew I ought to marry you, dear. It was because I loved you, darling, and wanted to help you,
Yes, and you do help me, but you don't understand, dear. Try and see my position.
Well, all I can see is that Mr. Forbes is taking advantage of you, and I'm not going to let him, that's all.
But that isn't the point. In the position that I'm in, I have to go ahead with it. Don't you see, dear, if I'm not in that merger, I'll lose everything.
Well, only 16 2/3%. It's such a funny number, too. I don't see why you couldn't get a nice even number like 25 or 50.
Dulcy, you've got to listen to me. Let me talk to Forbes about a higher percentage. Maybe he'll acquiesce.
Well, he might try to, but he won't get away with it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Forbes is my name.
Yes, sir. Just step right in, please.
Come on, Eleanor.
Yes, dear. Angela?
This way, please.
My, what a lovely room. Isn't it, Angela?
Yes, the whole place is lovely.
Nobody here. Looks like we came too early.
Oh, no, sir. Mrs. Smith asked me to say that she'd be down directly.
All right.
Not at all, sir. Excuse me, please.
Well, nice reception.
Now, please, Charlie.
What do you mean?
Oh, don't be a bear, Father. Try to be pleasant for once.
Well, why should I? I didn't want to come down here in the first place. I could have done my business with Gordon Smith in New York.
I know, dear. But a nice weekend down here in the country would be very...
Weekend? What do I care about a weekend? I'm a businessman, not a playboy. You know how I despise golf and tennis and all that truck.
Well, we're here now, Father, and you might as well make the best of it. I didn't care so much about coming myself, if you want to know.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not particularly. I'd rather have stayed in town.
Oh, where you can see that half-baked moving picture writer, I suppose.
My father.
Oh, I know all about it. You've been seeing him almost every day, and I don't like it, do you hear? I don't like it at all.
Why not? Mr. Leach is a very nice young man.
Mr. Leach is a young fool.
Well, how can you say that? You've never even met him.
No, but I've heard about him. That was enough for me.
Charlie, please don't excite yourself. You know it's bad for you. Come over here and sit down.
Now, sit down right here. I hate those soft chairs. They're bad for my back.
Well, look who's here, Mr. and Mrs. Forbes.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Mrs. Forbes, I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Oh, and Mr. Forbes, well, how are you?
Oh, all right, I guess.
And Angela.
How are you, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, now where is Gordon? Gordon!
Yes, Dulcie.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, hello, Mr. Forbes. Hello, Mrs. Forbes.
Well, did you have a nice drive out from the city, Mr. Forbes? Awfully pretty, isn't it?
Yes, I guess so.
Did you all come out together, or did you drive?
Why, I don't know. We came through Hull.
Oh, that's the short way. Now, you should have come the long way. That's quicker. No, I think that is the long way, isn't it, Hartsdale? Yeah.
Well, it really doesn't matter.
No, both ways are awfully pretty. Sit down, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you.
No, not in that chair. That's the hard chair.
Yeah, but I prefer the hard.
Oh, now, don't sit, Mr. Forbes. You sit right down in this nice soft chair.
Now,
Go
please.
ahead, now, there.
Now, please.
Why, Mr. Forbes?
It's his back. He's been having a little trouble with it lately.
Are you all right, Mr. Forbes?
I hope so.
Oh, of course he's all right. Nice and comfy. Oh, Angela, have I a surprise to you, or will you be surprised?
What, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, you'll see, dear.
Dulcie, please. Well, Mr. Forbes, I'm glad you could get down early. I'd like to talk over something with you.
Oh, now, Gordon. No business, please.
But, Dulcie, that's what Mr. Forbes came down.
No, dear. This is the time for play. You know, Mr. Forbes, the one thing poor Gordon has never learned is how to play. He takes everything so seriously. Now, what I like to do is just cut loose once in a while, just be children again. And I've got the most wonderful day planned for you, Mr. Forbes. We're going to play and play and play.
Me? Well, thank you very much, but you know
Oh, but you play golf, don't you?
Well, to tell you the truth...
Oh, and that's good. And you love our course. It's wonderful.
Yes, but I've been having a great deal of trouble with my back lately.
The pro at our club will fix that up. What you need is exercise.
Exercise?
Yeah, you and I'll go out and play 18 holes of golf the first thing in the morning.
But, my dear Mrs. Smith...
Excuse me, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, Henry? Yes, Henry, what is it?
Another guest is here, madam. A Miss...
Wait. Don't tell us his name. Just show him in, Henry.
Very good, madam.
Oh, Angela.
Yes, Miss Smith.
This is the surprise I was telling you about, Angela. Oh, who is it? Well, you'll see in a moment, darling.
In here, sir, please.
Thank you.
Oh, good heavens.
Mrs. Smith.
Oh, how do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Vincent Leach, the great moving pictures writer.
What?
Yes, Mr. Forbes, Mr. Vincent Leach.
How do you do, Mr. Forbes? How do you do?
And this is Mrs. Forbes.
How do you do?
And Mr. Smith, my husband.
How do you do?
Oh, and of course you know Angela.
Angela, this is a surprise.
Yes, isn't it, Mr. Leach? I didn't know you were going to be here.
Neither did I.
Yeah, what's that, Mr. Forbes?
Oh, nothing, Mrs. Smith, nothing at all.
I thought you said something. Mr. Leach, we're all so glad you could come. He's been so busy, Mr. Forbes, working on his new picture. Tell him about it, Mr. Leach.
Well, I'm afraid I can't just now. It's a little long. Perhaps after dinner.
Oh, yes, of course.
But I may say without exaggeration that it will probably be the most magnificent picture of its type ever produced.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes, even better than my last picture, The Sacred Love. I suppose everyone here saw The Sacred Love.
Oh, I don't know.
Pardon, Mrs. Smith.
Yes, what is it?
Mr. Schuyler Van Dyke.
Mr. Van Dyke?
Oh, no, Mr. Forbes. This is just our butler. Here comes Mr. Van Dyke.
How do you do, Mrs. Smith? I'm sorry to be late.
Oh, don't mention it, Mr. Van Dyke.
I had to make several important long-distance calls. Business, you know.
Oh, of course, you captains of industry. Oh, Mr. Forbes, this is Mr. Van Dyke. The Mr. Van Dyke.
Well, how do you do? How do you do?
I brought him here especially for you, Mr. Forbes.
Dulcie.
Gordon, I told you it isn't polite to whisper in front of company.
Oh.
Well, now our weekend has started. Gordon, will you introduce Mr. Van Dyke to everyone and everyone to Mr. Van Dyke? We're all too good friends to be strangers, you know.
Well, this is Mrs. Forbes.
Yes, Mr. Forbes' wife, you know, and Mrs. Angela Forbes, Mr. Forbes' daughter, and this is Mr. Leach, Mr. Forbes' future son-in-law.
Dulcie.
Uh-huh.
Dinner is served, Mrs. Smith.
Dear, well, one can't do everything at once, can one? Well, come along, everyone. Dinner.
Dulcie, what are you laughing at?
Well, I just want to put everybody in a good mood.
Charlie, let's go back to the others.
I tell you, I'll do nothing of the sort. This place is going to drive me crazy.
Now, Charlie, please don't excite yourself. You know how bad it is for you after eating.
Did you hear what that woman said? I've got to get up tomorrow morning and play golf. Golf. If there's one thing I hate more than anything in this world, it's golf. Unless it's bridge.
Oh, Charlie.
If I could think of a good excuse, I'd go back to town tonight and take Angela and you with me.
But, Charlie, you can't do that.
Don't you suppose I see that woman's plan to throw Angela and that fool Leach together?
But I tell you, he's a most charming man.
And I tell you, Mrs. Smith, if it weren't for Smith and our business relations, I would go back to town tonight.
Oh, here I am. I've been looking all over for you, Mr. Forbes. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play bridge.
What? Mrs. Smith, I don't think I care to play bridge this evening.
Oh, now, you businessmen must have some relaxation. You remind me so of Gordon, the poor darling. He does nothing but work. I don't suppose he's told you, Mr. Forbes, but he's really got a lot of things on hand.
What do you mean?
Well, you might just as well know. It isn't only the pearl business. He has lots of other interests, too.
What's that?
It's really asking too much to make him give up all these other things to come into the jewelry merger. That is, unless unless it were made worth his while. Of course, if he only got 16 2/3%, he couldn't afford to give up all his time to it. Oh, no, he'd have to look after his other interests, too. And you'd be the loser.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I thought you would. Are you coming, Mrs. Falls?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Smith.
Well, hurry, dear, then. We're going to start the game.
Oh, hello, Mr. Forbes. All alone?
Yes, Mr. Smith. I'd like to have a word with you.
Of course.
Smith.
Yes?
Your wife has just been telling me something of your other business activities.
Other business activities?
Yeah, and it came as something of a revelation to me.
I don't understand.
Well, as you may have been aware, my agreement to admit you on a 16 2/3% basis was founded on the expectation that you would give all your time to the new enterprise.
Yes, of course, Mr. Forbes.
Well, in the circumstances, your business and your services would hardly be worth that amount to me. No, I think we shall have to lower your percentage.
But, Mr. Forbes, you don't understand.
Oh, I think I do. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll go and play bridge.
Oh, I'm sunk. Dulcy, where are you?
Yes, Gordon, dear.
Well, come here, quick.
Oh, Gordon, I've got news for you.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
Dulcy.
but it can't wait, dear. I must tell you.
Dulcie, please.
Mrs. Forbes just told me that Mr. Forbes never plays bridge.
Well, what of it?
What of it? Why, Gordon, dear, don't you see? He's out there now, ready to play. That means he likes us. He likes us, Gordon. Everything's going to be wonderful. Oh, I can feel it in my bones.
Oh.
After carefully patching up the damage done by Dulcie, Gordon was able to convince Mr. Forbes that his percentage of the merger should not be lowered. But there's more trouble brewing. It's a few hours later, and Dulcie is alone in the living room. The door opens, and Vincent Leach and Angela enter excitedly.
Oh, Mrs. Smith, we've got to speak to you.
Yes, we want you to help us.
Why, Mr. Leach, Angela, is there anything wrong?
Oh, Mrs. Smith, Vincent and I are in love.
In love? Oh, Angela, Mr. Leach. Oh, if this isn't the most wonderful thing I've ever heard. Why, it's wonderful, that's all I can say. Oh, I'm so happy I could cry. Good news affects me that way. Oh, Vincent. I may call you Vincent now, mayn't I?
Of course.
Mrs. Smith, we're going to need your help.
Oh, yes, darling, of course.
Now, it's a secret, and you must promise that you won't tell anyone.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't tell a soul.
Well, we're going to elope.
Elope?
Tonight.
Tonight? You mean run away and get married? Why, that's wonderful. Oh, that's just marvelous.
Oh, now remember, you're not to tell us.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't tell anybody, no. How soon are you going?
Oh, just as soon as we can. Aren't we, Vincent?
Yes, if we can get away.
Oh, of course. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't know what to do next. Oh, Willie, Vincent, and Angela are going to elope.
Smith, you promised you wouldn't tell.
Oh, but I won't, and Willie won't tell anybody either, will you, Willie?
You're going to elope, Angela, with Mr. Leach?
Yes.
No, I won't tell a soul.
Oh, there you are, Angela.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Where are you going to elope to?
Why, where were we, Vincent?
Well, I hadn't thought about it just yet.
Well, there are lots of places.
Oh, sure. How about a marriage license?
Why, I don't know. Vincent?
Well, I thought we might find one someplace.
Oh, Willie, you could help in some way, couldn't you? You know where to get a license and everything.
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I'll be glad to drive them there.
Oh, now you see, that's just why I told them all. Everything is just working out beautifully, and I'll tell you what we'll do. What do we suggest, Willie?
Is everything ready?
Oh, we just have to get our bags.
They just have to get their bags. Vincent, now you go find Mrs. Forbes and tell her, and then we'll all meet in the garage. Now I'll go up and get Angela's things for her.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, hurry, Vincent. The less see, the more haste or something, you know.
All right. I'll see you in the garage in about 3 minutes. Don't keep me waiting.
Oh, we won't. Well, now that's settled. I'll go up and get the things.
Oh, I'll go with you.
Oh, no. I'll bring everything out to the garage. If anybody sees me, they won't suspect. Oh, well, you know, I'm so excited. It's just like times of old when knights were bold. Oh.
Well,
Are you all ready for the elopement, Angela?
Bill Parker, I think you're just horrid.
Speaking to me?
You know very well I am.
Oh, you don't mean it. I'm really being very good to you, helping you out in this way.
Well, you don't have to be so happy about it. After all, we are old friends.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad. You're glad, aren't you?
That has nothing to do with it. Of course I am. Oh, you're just impossible.
Angela, you told me once that I'd never change. Well, you were right. I never have changed, especially about you.
I don't care whether you have or not. I think you're positively hopeless.
I guess I am. Well, let's get going, shall we?
Helena.
Here I am, dear. In the garden.
Oh, what are you doing out here?
Oh, watching the stars. It's a beautiful night, isn't it, Charlie? So calm and peaceful.
Peaceful. You know, that woman is enough to drive a man crazy. Say, is that our car?
Where, dear?
Well, going out the drive. See it?
Oh, it couldn't be ours, darling.
No? Well, where's Angela?
I don't know. I haven't seen her since dinner.
Out gallivanting with that Saxonario writer, I suppose.
Do you mean Mr. Leach?
Yes, I mean Mr. Leach. And I want to tell you something. If I find this Leach person actually making love to Angela, I'm going to raise blazes.
Now, Charlie.
I've had nothing but a series of aggravations and annoyances ever since I came into this house. Eleanor, I can truthfully say that in all my 53 years, I have never spent an unhappier evening.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah, but I'm not going to spend another. I'm not going to stay here and play golf and bridge.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going home.
Charlie.
I'm going upstairs and pack right now.
Charlie.
Oh, Mr. Forbes, here you are.
Yeah, I won't be for long.
What did you say?
I said I'm going to my room.
Oh, that's right. Get a good night's rest so you'll be nice and fresh for tomorrow.
Mrs. Smith, I am not going to play golf tomorrow.
Oh, no, none of us are. We've changed our plans, Mr. Forbes.
Oh.
We're going horseback riding.
Horseback?
Yes, isn't that a wonderful idea?
Good night, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I knew he'd like it. Oh, Mrs. Forbes. Mrs. Forbes, have you heard the news? Oh, but you couldn't have, could you? It only just happened.
Well, what has just happened?
Vincent and Angela, they've eloped.
What?
Yes, just a minute ago. They took your car.
Eloped?
Oh, isn't it wonderful? I knew you'd be thrilled. And it's all my doing, every bit of it. And what makes it more exciting, it's a secret, too.
Mrs. Smith, do you know what you've done?
Oh, that's all right. You can thank me later.
He'll never forgive you. Never.
Who, Vincent?
No. My husband.
But he didn't elope with your husband.
Try to understand, Mrs. Smith. My husband hates Mr. Leach.
Well, this is a fine time to say a thing like that. How was I supposed to know? He never said anything.
This is the finish, Mrs. Smith. We're leaving here just as soon as our car is returned.
Oh, but you can't. You mustn't. Mr. Smith hasn't settled anything about the merger yet.
No, and I'm afraid he never will. Good night, Mr. Smith.
Mrs. Smith?
Oh, yes, Sister Van Dyke.
You mustn't cry like that, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, I can't help it. You don't know what's happened.
Yes, I do. I just heard Mr. Forbes storming about it upstairs. You couldn't help but hear him.
Oh, Mr. Van Dyke, isn't it awful? Isn't it terrible?
Nothing is so terrible that it can't be mended.
Oh, but the merger, it may be all off. I don't know what Gordon will do.
Mrs. Smith, I like your husband very much.
Oh, do you?
Tell me, would he be willing to get up his own merger? One bigger than Mr. Forbes ever dreamt of?
Why, well, I never thought of that. But Mr. Forbes has all the money, and Gordy hasn't any.
That's it, exactly. Now, I've always wanted to take a little flyer on the jewelry business. Suppose I financed Mr. Smith. Suppose he and I set out to beat Mr. Forbes together. How would that be?
Why, it would be the biggest thing that ever happened in this house. Do you really mean it?
I certainly do. I'll put up my check the moment your husband says the word.
Oh, Mr. Van Dyke, you made me the happiest woman in all the world. Oh, you'll let me break the news to him, won't you?
Why, of course, if you wish it.
Oh, and to think I introduced you to him. Oh, now what will he think of me?
Wait a minute. Say that again, Mr. Van Dyke.
Well, of course. I said that your wife has interested me very much in this proposition, and I've told her that I'm willing to finance a combination to beat Forbes and his crowd with you at the head of it.
Oh, he's just waiting for you to say the word, darling.
I can't believe it.
But it's true. It is, dear.
Why, it's too good to be true. I could get rid of Forbes and put my business in for what it's worth.
Oh, yes, Gordon.
I really could do big things. I'll be backed financially by the Van Dyke interests.
Exactly, Mr. Smith. Excuse me.
Oh, come in, Forbes. Oh, we were just talking about you, Mr. Forbes.
I'm compelled to make a little announcement. I merely wish to tell you, on top of everything else, that my wife's diamond necklace has disappeared.
Disappeared?
In view of the fact that it took place in this house, I thought you might have a sentimental interest.
Don't you dare accuse Henry of stealing anything.
Dulcy.
Henry? Who's Henry?
Yeah,
Dulcy, quiet.
No, Gordon, I'm not going to stand here and listen to him make insinuating remarks about my servants. Henry is perfectly honest. His honesty has been proven. He's been paroled 7 times.
Oh. Well, that's very interesting. Where is this man?
Why, he's not here. He asked me if I'd let him take the evening off, and I said yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. You've been a great help.
Mr. Forbes, please. We'll get the necklace back, and if we don't, I'll make good for it. Now, let's sit down and talk it over.
There's nothing to talk over. And in the circumstances, I don't see how we can possibly go into business together. I don't like your methods. The merger is definitely off.
But, Mr. Forbes...
I'm sorry, but that's my decision.
Wait, Mr. Forbes. Before you freeze me out, I want to tell you that Mr. Van Dyke here has agreed to back me in an independent merger. A bigger one than yours.
What? Yes, Mr. Forbes, I have.
But Now, am I still out?
Yes, Mr. Smith, you are.
Very well. Then I'm going to line up with Mr. Van Dyke and fight you. Fight you till one of us is forced to the wall. I'll teach you to take advantage of me.
Advantage? Who took advantage of you?
You did. By offering me less than you know my business was worth. Why, you knew I was in a hole, and now you're going to get just what you deserve. You're going to get a first-rate licking.
Oh, Gordy!
All right. Make your fine speeches. But when you talk about fighting, don't forget that I can fight, too. And before you win, you're going to know that you've been in a real fight. Remember that.
You know, I think he's mad, Gordy.
Mr. Smith, allow me to congratulate you. You told him what was what, straight from the shoulder.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. And I'm sure we'll get along splendidly.
Well, of course we will. And now I'll say good night. I've had a hard day at my broker's, and I'm very tired. Good night, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, good night, and thank you.
Not at all, not at all.
Oh, Gordon, you were wonderful.
I feel like a new man.
Oh, you see, I was of some use after all.
Use? You were magnificent. The best. The finest little wife in the world.
Oh, wasn't it lucky my finding Mr. Van Dyke?
Lucky. It was an inspiration.
Oh, and I am a real helpmate?
I should say you are.
Oh, Lordy. Well, now, who could that be?
Well, I'll answer it.
Good evening, Mr. Smith. Good evening. I'm sorry to intrude like this, but it's rather important. My name is Patterson, Blair Patterson.
Oh, the attorney?
Yes.
Oh, come in.
Thank you. I was referred to you by Mrs. Kennedy.
Oh, across the street.
Yes. She said that you had guests. I just wondered if among them there was a Mr. Morgan.
Morgan? Oh, I know.
Well, is there Mr. Ford?
No, he's not here either.
Mr. Vanderbilt?
You Vanderbilt? Oh, no.
Well, let me ask you. Is one of your guests tall, good-looking, interested in various investments?
Oh, you mean Schuyler Van Dyke?
Schuyler Van Dyke, yes. I think I do mean Schuyler Van Dyke. Mm-hmm. I'm his cousin. I've come for him.
Come for him?
Yes, his real name is Patterson, Horace Patterson. He has an hallucination that he's a millionaire.
What? You mean he's crazy?
Yes, a little. But harmless, I assure you.
Dulcie, he's crazy. Schuyler Van Dyke is crazy.
Well, then the company that he was... the merger that he had the money for, the merger that it isn't... it's for... It can't fall. Oh, dear.
It's early the next morning, and Blair Patterson, the lawyer who brought the calamitous news of Mr. Van Dyke's hallucinations, is in the living room straightening out his rumpled clothes after spending the night on the sofa. Down the stairs comes the happily demented Mr. Van Dyke, singing cheerfully.
Hello, Horace. What? Oh, why, Blair, what in the world are you doing here?
Oh, I just dropped in to say hello.
You can't fool me. You've come to make me leave. It's very, very embarrassing, Blair.
Well, if it's embarrassing for you, what do you think it is for me? I have a law practice to attend to. I'm getting a little tired of these excursions.
Well, I wish you'd leave me alone. At least half a dozen times during the past few years you've interrupted me in business negotiations that were exceedingly interesting.
Mm-hmm. You've been up to something here, Horace?
Well, yes. I've been representing my Van Dyke interests. We had all sorts of wonderful things planned. My share alone would have been $8.5 million. Besides, we were going to play golf and go horseback riding. I love horses.
Horace, how many times have I told you that I represent the Van Dyke interests? Now you must let me handle it. You come back to town with me and we'll talk it over.
But I can't leave now.
I'm sorry, Horace, but you know our agreement. Unless you do as I say, I'll never go through with that $200 million airplane company of ours.
All right, Blair.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, how do you feel this morning, Mr. Van Dyke?
Very melancholy. I'm afraid I must go back to town.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Still, it's all for the best. Oh, you must have some breakfast first, though.
Thank you. I'll go and have it right away. It's hard to do high finance on an empty stomach.
He can't have breakfast, can he, Mr. Patterson?
Oh, yes.
Well, I have some soft-boiled eggs prepared for him, some soft milk toast, all very soft, you know. Is that all right?
Oh, yes. I think that'll be very nice, Mrs. Smith. Thank you.
No, don't mention it, Mr. Patterson. Hello, Gordon, darling.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Patterson.
Good morning, Mr. Smith.
You see your cousin?
Yes, we had quite a talk. By the way, you haven't mentioned anything to your guests, have you? I mean, it would be rather embarrassing.
No, nobody knows a thing. So far as they know, he's Schuyler Van Dyke himself.
Fine. That's fine. Well, thank you very, very much. And now I think I better go and keep an eye on him. You never can tell what big merger he'll attempt next.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, certainly.
Dulcie.
Yes, dear?
Dulcie, I want to speak to you.
Yes, of course. What about, darling?
What about? Do you realize what's happened?
Well, I don't know. I think... Oh, Gordon, I didn't mean...
Wait.
Yes, darling.
Do you know what Forbes is going to say to me when he learns who Van Dyke really is?
No.
He's going to laugh in my face. I'll never get him to change his mind about the merger now. He thinks he's been made a fool of, and he's right.
But we haven't really done anything to him just because we asked for more.
Oh, it wasn't our asking for more.
Oh, you mean the jewels disappearing?
Yes, and his daughter disappearing, too.
Oh, it was me again. It was me as usual. Oh, Gordon, how will it all end?
If Forbes finds out that Van Dyke is crazy, he'll probably force me out of business. I'll have to start all over again. Without a cent.
And without me?
Dulcie, I love you. I'll always love you, but you're like a child. You don't stop to think.
Oh, I guess I don't, Gordon. I only think. Oh, darling, I'll let you go if you want me to. I'm just all wrong. I'm a false note. I've always wondered how I was able to make a man like you care for me. It seems so silly for a man like you ever to love a false note.
Dulcie, you're not a false note. You're a melody. A whole tune, but, I don't know what to do.
Well, maybe I can reform.
I doubt it.
Oh, Gordon, please let me try. I'll promise that I'll never interfere with your business affairs again. I'll change completely. I'll revolutionize myself.
Dulcie, I don't want you to change. I love you just as you are. I simply want you to let me handle my own affairs in my own way. If you can promise to do that...
Oh, yes, Gordy, I promise, and I'll keep it too. I will.
Thank you, Dulcie.
I hope I'm not wrong this time.
Good morning, Mrs. Smith.
Oh, Mr. Forbes, I've been looking for you.
Really? Mrs. Smith, I have a slight apology to make. We found my wife's necklace.
Oh, there, you see?
Your butler found it and put it away for safekeeping. He returned it to Mrs. Forbes this morning.
Oh, I'm so glad. Now I have an apology, too, Mr. Forbes. I'm sorry about the elopement, Mr. Forbes. And I'm sorry about the business deal, too, but it's going to come out all right.
I should think it would. For your husband, backed by the Van Dyke millions.
The Van Dyke millions, but Mr. Forbes...
As a matter of fact, I'm inclined to regret my hasty decision of last night. If I had known before that Mr. Van Dyke was interested...
Yeah, oh, but that's just it. He isn't interested. I mean, he is, but he can't be.
What is all this?
Well, you see, Gordon will go in with you after all because Mr. Van Dyke... Well, Mr. Van Dyke just isn't Mr. Van Dyke.
What? What's that?
Well, no, he has something wrong in his head. He only thinks he's a millionaire.
Oh, I see.
So everything's all right now, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Splendid, yes. Where's your husband now, Mr.
Why, he's in the library. Would you like to see him?
Yes, very much.
Well, come along. It's right this way, Mr. Forbes. Oh, I just knew everything would turn out all right. Oh, here we are. Gordon, darling.
Dulcie?
I've just fixed it with Mr. Forbes, darling.
What?
Yeah, everything's fine now.
Dulcie, what did you say?
A great deal, Mr. Smith. She told me about Mr. Van Dyke.
She took... Did you, Dulcie?
Yeah, of course, dear. I told you I'd straighten everything out.
You certainly have. Well, Mr. Forbes, then of course you know that Mr. Van Dyke...
Yeah, I know. But it won't work, Mr. Smith. It won't work.
Huh?
Oh, I'll admit that Mrs. Smith is a clever woman. A very clever woman. But it won't work. A Van Dyke, not a Van Dyke.
No, but Mr. Forbes, he really
Shut
is.
up, Dulcie.
Oh, yes, sir.
I saw through the whole thing at once, Mr. Smith. You began to be sorry you told me about the Van Dyke merger, and you wanted to throw me off the trail. Huh? Well, you can't do it. I know what's in the wind, and I'm going to hold you to our agreement.
Agreement?
Well, it was a verbal agreement. Now, as a gentleman, you agreed to come in with me for 16 2/3%, and you've got to do it. You've got to come in with me.
Well, all right, Mr. Forbes. I guess you win.
Oh, there, Gordon. Didn't I tell you I'd fix it for you?
Charlie, where are you?
Here I am, Eleanor. What do you want?
Oh, Charlie, she's here.
Who? Who's here?
Angela, she's come back.
Oh, how nice.
Angela, eh? Well, I want to speak to her.
Hello, Father.
Come here. Where have you been?
Oh, Father, what a question.
Oh, Angela, dear, are you married?
Of course I am.
Oh, she's married. Isn't that wonderful?
So you did it, eh? Where's your husband?
Yes, Angela, where's your husband?
Good morning, everybody.
Oh.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Willie. Where's Vincent? Where's Mr. Leach? Oh, Angela, tell us.
I don't know, Mrs. Smith.
You don't know? Well, isn't that fine?
Well, Willie, for heaven's sake, what's happened to him?
Well, it's a long story, Dulcie.
Look here, young man. You helped to arrange this wedding, didn't you?
Yes, Mr. Forbes.
Well, don't you know where the groom is?
Sure. I'm the groom.
What? Yeah, Willie. Willie, say that again.
Certainly, I am the groom. Well, congratulations.
Now, just a second, young man. Are you a genius?
No, sir.
Well, are you a writer of any kind, sort, or description?
I should say not.
Well, he's a broker, Mr. Forbes, and isn't it wonderful? That makes everything all right, doesn't it?
Well...
Oh, but what about Mr. Leach, Willie? Where is he?
I don't know. You see, we started from here all right last night, but down the road a piece, I suddenly thought my tail light was out. Well, Mr. Leach was kind enough to investigate for me, and somehow or other the car started off without him.
Young fellow, you're all right. And darn clever, too.
Well, he's my brother. What would you expect? And wasn't it wonderful that I happened to invite him down here for this party?
Oh, so this is what you were working for, underneath all that Leach business.
What? Yes and no. Oh, I'm afraid you don't understand women very well, Mr. Fogg.
I'm afraid I don't.
But isn't it marvelous? Angela, a married woman, and Willie, a married man. Oh, I could almost cry. But Mr. Fogg's about that merger. 16 2/3% isn't very much for a relation, brother-in-law.
Well, I wasn't very generous about that deal, or very just either. Smith.
Yes, sir?
What do you say to coming in with me for 20%?
20? Oh, Mr. Fogg.
All right, then. All right. If that's not enough, we'll make it 25.
25?
Dulcie, be quiet. 25 satisfies me.
Oh, does it? Well, if it satisfies you, Gordon, then it satisfies me. I didn't mean to interfere, dear, and I never will again. You know the old saying, a burnt child dreads the fire? Well, I've been burned, and once bitten, twice cautious. You get the idea, don't you, darling?